want to start today with a couple of things that I think are I think maybe one of them is maybe the most important thing you could do. A friend of mine who I've known for a very long time, called me up last spring and said, Glenn, I need to tell you something. Can you meet me at a hotel? Like, okay, this is really cryptic and spooky. He's like, no, it's not bad. I just would like to meet you because I have something to tell you. I said, okay. Now, this is a guy I've known for years. I respect. All of us know him. And we know him as a guy who does another job. And he's very good at that other job, or so we thought. And we never thought anything else. So I go to this hotel, into this conference room, and he's there with a slide projector and a screen and a couple of people at the table. I said, what exactly am I walking into here? The door closed, and he said, I have to tell you, I'm not who you think I am. Now, this is one of the most surreal movie kind of moments I've ever had in my life. And I've had a lot of movie moments. I've had a lot of things that have turned out, you're like, wait a minute, what? And so I sat down. And I said, so who are you? He said, I work for the federal government. This is when I smiled at him and I said, does this work out well for me, or does this work out very poorly for me? He said, smiling back, it's not about you. I said, okay, good, then I'm all right. Otherwise, I would really like to get my attorney here. He said, I want to tell you a story about a 5-year-old boy. He said, I'm a federal agent, and I work in the human trafficking division. Now, this was right around the time that they had found those girls in Cleveland. I said, all right. He said, Glenn, you have no idea how bad it is. And I can't take it anymore. And he said, I'm getting out because we're not doing everything that we can. And he said, we do a lot. And I want to make sure you understand, this is not a left or right. This is not an anti-administration. This is not an anti-anything. He has worked for both administrations, both parties, and it doesn't change. And he said, this 5-year-old boy lived in America, and he and his sister were kidnapped in America and brought across the border. And brought across the border by this real monster. He's a human flesh trafficker. And he would bring these two children, brother and sister. She was maybe 10. He was 5. And he would bring them to these drug cartel parties in Mexico on the weekend. And they were horribly abused. They were used as sex toys. And then because this family was underclass and living in the shadows. They knew that they could bring these kids back to their family, their mother and father. And they would tell the kids that if you just do what we say, you'll be able to go back to mommy and daddy. And so they did, and they lived in terror. And every weekend, when this man would call, the kids would go. This 5-year-old boy was so afraid. And his sister went and got from the store something that was 50-cent dog tags. And on them, they just said, "Man of God." And she put them around her little brother's neck the last time they went. And she said, "You're a man of God. Pray for miracles. You just hold on to God." Well, a miracle did happen, because my friend was on to this ring. He was actually at the party, his job. And when he told me this story, you could see the pain in his eyes. He goes to these parties. He goes to these different countries, and he poses as a rich American that is buying children to bring them back into the United States to sell them into slavery here. And so he was at this party. And he said, "I want that one, and that one, and that one, and that one." And as soon as the money changed hands, the Navy SEALs drop out of the ceiling. And they saved the children. The little boy was confused. As my friend went to go grab him, he thought he was one of the monsters and didn't understand. And then he ran to the SEALs. When the SEALs explained to him that he was the guy who led the team, the little boy ran to my friend and grabbed onto his neck, and he said, Glenn, he wouldn't let go. They took him across the border back into America. He reached into his shirt and he pulled out those 50-cent dog tags. He said, that was my first mission. He said there are hundreds of missions like that after. 2 million children are trapped in slavery. Since then, I have been doing a lot of homework on it, and I have talked to people in America and around the world, and I have spoken to one of the bravest women I know. She's a woman in the Congress, if you will, of Mexico. And she is very outspoken, and she has shown me the problem in our border and the problems in Mexico and the problems here. There is a stretch of border in Arizona. It's the no-go zone. It's where we have just ceded land back to Mexico, about 90 miles of land. And there are signs no Americans should pass this point, even though it's our land. We don't really guard it. We don't do anything. And that is exactly where the kids are trafficked. Phoenix is now the kidnap capital of the world. Do you know that? More than Bogota, Colombia. Phoenix, Arizona. What do you think happens to these children? Does anybody even care? No, because, they're illegals anyway. What happens to these 5-year-old boys and girls? I could tell you, but I don't think I need to. You know. The evil that is on our border is not just on our border. It's all around the country and all around the world. Cleveland, Ohio is one of the main distribution points in America. Is it Cleveland or is it Toledo? I can't remember now. Ohio. These kids are kidnapped from our country, and they are shipped all around the world. And he started just like a Mission Impossible, opening up a file and throwing pictures down on the table and said, this one we know where they are, this one we know where they are, this one we know where they are. American citizens missing. And we know where they are.